So when we stop and we think about what are we accepting, and I said we're accepting that change is coming. And so if you don't have a job and you have no money in the bank, change is coming. It doesn't matter whether you have a ton of money in the bank and a great job. Change is coming. So this notion of change is coming for somebody who feels like they have so little, we can actually turn that on its head and get excited about the fact that change is coming. Because in some respects, when relationships are dysfunctional enough to lead to divorce, it may often be the case that a person is sort of allowing themselves to be a victim of the circumstance. And so change is coming, and accepting it allows you to look at the pieces through the lens of how much can I earn if I'm on my own and I have to. How much is it going to cost to insure myself for health if I'm on my own and I make no money? It's not going to cost you a lot. So there are truths that are hard to see when you are together with somebody else, and that circumstance presents you with, factual information, and then you attach to that factual information, but some change is coming. And so we have to actually help you get to the other side and see what it will be like when it is different. And it's not just divorce. Somebody who is contemplating retirement might be not retiring because of health insurance, not realizing that on the other side of retirement, when you make no money, you might be able to access really inexpensive health insurance. The marketplace is very different for a single person who doesn't make much money versus a married person who's part of something. And then, the question of spousal support versus earned income, how do you answer the questions? So life presents us with all kinds of transitional moments. Divorce is just a special case. And so if we accept that we are getting divorced, we can accept that change is coming. We can start to actually pull people apart and show them what it will look like and deal with facts. But facts are just how things are, and they shine a light. They help us look into the future and say, that's how things are, but how do we want them to be? And that's where that self-assessment and reflection is so powerful, because, I like to think back to when I was 15 years old and I looked ahead 15 years and I thought I'm going to be a millionaire, right? Like I had a certain amount of confidence that at 15, I'm going to learn some stuff. But, then if we're like 40 or 45 or 50 years old, we sometimes are like living a life where we feel a little beaten up, and we don't have that kind of confidence that we had as a 15-year-old, despite the fact that we have 30 more years of experience and more things. And so part of separation is rediscovering who you are so that you can start to get connected to being the creator of your own change that you have accepted is coming.